Hey everybody, Stu Smith here, going live. A little bit early today. Got to leave early, so sorry for the change in schedule, but things come up. Today is going to be a discussion on um, some CSS critiques that I want to show you guys. Already got questions popping up here quickly, so that's awesome. I'll get right to that, Jackson. Real quick though, let me talk about three big aha moments for me as a coach recently. I won't get into them too deep because I have the links to the articles about them inside the description here on this video. So the first one is treading. Like I've noticed over the last few years that people are having a hard time with treading, mainly because of a lack of mobility to actually perform a proper kick. And whether that is a scissor kick with a downward back kick, and a downward front kick, or it's an egg beater kick. And one, they don't understand what the egg beater is. In fact, if you read that article about treading and mobility, that is inside the description. In fact, I'll put it in the comments section real quick because most people, treading is a mobility issue. Um, and then once you get the ability to actually produce a full range of motion kick, you can actually tread pretty easily, regardless of your body fat type, you're lean or negative and or neutral or whatever. The other one was the CSS. And for years, I've been teaching kick off the wall, double arm pull, do the pull out, and then come back up for your first stroke. And I've just noticed that a lot of people tend to lose momentum. They don't get really good. They get good at the CSS, but they don't get good at the breaststroke pullout. So, what I have been doing with a few people who already know the CSS are doing pretty well with the CSS, have gotten in shape to do well with the CSS. I've taken out the breaststroke pullout altogether and saw anywhere from 40 to 60-second decrease in their time, because here's why. When they kicked off the wall, they didn't kick off very efficiently, so their streamline was dragging them down. Then they do a double arm pull, and then they all stop, like whenever they transition out of the double arm pull into the stroke. So what I did instead was just kick off the wall hard as you can, got better with their streamline body position. So that helped them get out there about as far as they were doing with the breaststroke pullout. And then you just come up for that first breath and you start your stroke. And what that has enabled people to do is, one, be faster, but two, get an extra breath per length, which makes a big difference if you're a non-swimming athlete and not in great swimming shape. To add an extra breath in there, can really keep your heart rate down and help you maintain that pace a little more. And then the other one is this big debate between aerobic base building. Should you do it with long, slow distance running? Should you do it with non impact cardio, biking, swimming, things like that? And the answer is yes and yes. So, aerobic base building is very important. I have always come at it differently because most of my athletes that I see are not running athletes, and they're just trying to pass a mile and a half timed run and a 4 mile timed run. They're not trying to do marathons, whatever, or be a cross country runner. Um, so to build an aerobic base for those guys, sometimes if you just do a lot of long, slow distance running, yes, it's less impactful, but it is impactful. And if you're susceptible to shin splints and stress fractures and knee tendonitis, foot tendonitis, especially if you're a bigger athlete, I recommend not doing the long, slow distance running and doing more non-impact cardio. So biking a little more, swimming a little more. You need to swim anyway. So, you can build an aerobic base with those that can help you with a running aerobic base, but you still need to run. And the runs are more based on, learning that goal pace. It's not a sprint. It's more just learning how a 7-minute mile feels, how a 6-minute mile feels, for those longer and slower distance runs. Yes, you can run hills, you can run sprints, you can run a long, slow distance day if you prefer. Nothing wrong with adding it, but it needs to be smart and placed into your weekly progression smartly. So if you run 0 miles a week, the most you should probably run your first week is probably 5 or 6 miles, right? A lot of people run 10, maybe 15 or 20 their first week of running, and then they wonder why 3 or 4 weeks later they have tendonitis and shin splints. Well, it's because their progression was off. Um, Same for a bigger athlete who's still trying to lose weight. Your progression should be about 10 to 15% a week. So it takes time. And yeah, you can build long, slow distance in there if you want to. Um, but I'm just saying it's not necessarily the remedy for everybody. May work for you. It may not work for the 260-pound guy trying to get down to 200 pounds that has spent his life, doing sprints on a turf field versus, running any long distance. 400 meters is long distance to one of those guys. So there you go. That's my three big things that I have, I would say, in the last 3 to 4 years, have really focused on part of my teaching, and have made the biggest impact in people swimming faster, passing treading tests, getting a little more water comfort, running faster without injury. All of those things are very important when training. Um, so there you go. Those are my coaching aha moments of the last few years. So let's take some questions, and then I have a lot of videos I want to show you guys as well. In fact, I'll go ahead and pull those up just so we're ready to do them. And we'll take this first question from Jackson, since somehow I guess you popped in a question there before I was even going live, which I was didn't know you could do that. All right. So Jackson says training for Army SF, but I'm interested in Air Force Special Warfare and Navy Special Warfare. How would you scale the 50-50 down for a non-swimming athlete? And how many rep sets would you do daily, weekly? Thanks for all you do. Well, if you're going Army, I wouldn't say you need the 50-50 workout unless you're eventually going to dive school, but I wouldn't start really training a lot of swimming unless you need a non-impact cardio activity to just give you a break from running and rucking. Swimming's a great one. You can do those 50-50s. My advice would be to really work hard to build up to 10 50-50s. Now, I have had some non-swimming athletes start off with 25-25s. So what that means is 25 free, 25 CSS, or whatever stroke you're going to test. And you do that 10 to 15 times. Now that cuts down the distance in half. So 10 is only 500 yards if you're doing 25-25s. I would recommend building up to at least 1,000-yard swim workout if you're training for a 500-yard swim workout. And even better would be 1,500-yard swim workout. But you may have to build up to that. And I would I'd do it 4 to 6 days a week. 5 is ideal, but 6 is a little extra credit. 4 is the minimum. Additionally, for 18 X-ray, how much pool time do you advise? Minimal, but you should know how to swim because you're going to have to do a swim and get across the pool with a lot of gear on. My advice is to do that one using the elementary side stroke and get you across the pool. And practice treading water too. Never a bad idea to be able to survival swim. But no, all of my Green Beret guys do not swim as much as my SEAL and Air Force guys do. My SEAL and Air Force guys swim 5, 6 days a week. Air Force or Army guys, I rarely have them in the pool unless it's a mobility day where we're just working on hip mobility. Um, Sometimes we'll do some aqua jogging with them just to give them a break from running and rucking. But yeah, that's how we tend to adjust it. In fact, if you're not familiar with programs over on stewsmithfitness.com, I mean, workouts like this will have swimming in them just about every day. My Army SF workout, which I do not have here, must be upstairs. My Army SF workout has very little swimming in it. Very little. Maybe once a week, if any, and they're usually just optional to like give you a break from running. Now, what happens if guys DOR buds? I'd imagine it goes like another rating awaits you, but not this one. Someone's got to teach it. Tough lesson. Alex, great question. I will tell you this: it sucks. When you quit, you're still at buds for probably a couple of months watching everybody do their thing, and you're pretty demotivated at that point. You just like, this really sucks. I don't know what's going to happen. You have this board where they say, look, here's the deal. You are a really good student here. You have an opportunity. There's some space if you want to go EOD. You just got to pass this, advanced PST, just advanced scores, and you can go EOD. So you get offered that one. My suggestion is take it because that's going to be a really cool job for you to do. However, a lot of people don't take it because they want to go back to buds. Here's the problem with trying to go back is it's not always written in stone that you will get a second chance. Some people, you hear about get a second chance and a third chance. It's very rare that that happens. And they have to be in a job that requires, or I should say, that doesn't require them to stay so they can, they're not overmanned or undermanned. So you can leave the rate. Um, and your year group, the year that you joined the military. So let's say you joined in 2022. Um, if Spec War has all of their 22 personnel, year of 22 personnel made it through buds and are in the teams, well, probably not yet, but they're in the SQT and all that. They don't need anybody from 2021, 2022. Whatever that year group is, it really depends on whether or not there's space available for you. And sometimes that may not happen for 3 to 4 years, depending on people staying in or getting out after their first enlistment. So you may be there for a while. So getting back is really tough. But if you're afforded the opportunity to go to another school like EOD or Diver or SWIC, take it in a heartbeat because they're good jobs. All of them are really good jobs. And yeah, they may not be Spec War like you originally wanted, but you quit when things got tough. And yeah, you might have made a mistake, but what do you want me to tell you? Do you think you're not going to make that mistake the next time? I don't know. Even though you're physically crushing everything, and you decide to quit. I would do a job that's going to be fulfilling, fun, challenging, and all those other jobs are really good. But if you don't get those opportunities because let's say you weren't a good student, and you failed everything, you just woefully unprepared, they're probably going to make you go to the fleet and do something else. Might let you be rescue swimmer somewhere. You might not. You might be an undesignated striker, which means you are nothing, and you go to a ship, and your job is whatever that ship needs you to do that day, which could be scraping rust and painting. It could be cleaning restrooms, mopping the deck. Could be a lot of those little jobs that may not be fulfilling for you. Yes, they're needed, and somebody needs to do them. Be part of the team on a ship, but may not be what you joined the Navy for. So think about that when you get opportunities put in your way. There I would do this. If I had a really low chance of going back and was given the opportunity to go EOD, I would go EOD, crush it, like really be mind, whatever caused me to quit at Buds, I would be really challenged to not do that at EOD, because last thing you want is have two schools of failure under your belt, and you're just going to do your time in the Navy doing something that is nothing, unless you can really bounce back and square yourself away. I've seen guys do that, by the way, come out, be a master chief. You know, I've seen an officer who quit Buds become an admiral, in surface fleet. So you can really bounce back and crush it too. Um, but yeah, what I would do is I'd go EOD, and then if I really liked it, I'd stay in. If I didn't, I would consider getting out. And if I wasn't quite fulfilled, didn't quite have my spec warfare bug taken care of, you could do one of two things: get out of the Navy and then apply to go Army SF, maybe, or you could go Air Force Special Warfare. See what, if you want to go through a hard selection, those two are really hard. Um, or you could try to go back in the Navy and see if the Buds would take you after a year or two being out. I don't know. So there are ways to get back if you wanted to, but they're very slim, and no path is paved. It's going to be a bumpy road, whatever that is. So sorry I went on that one, but that was something relevant this week that I thought I would add on to it. One aha moment I just tried yesterday was, instead of putting hands together like a clap, put one hand on top of the other and hook the thumb over the top. Made streamlining much easier. I don't know how many times I've taught that one, Cole. That's the way I teach it. One hand on top of the other, clap it right there. I'm assuming you made that up, or did you get that from me when I was discussing the streamlining? But yeah, that's a good aha moment. People screw that one up. How do you turn at the end of the pool using fins? I usually really awkward. It is really awkward. Um, you're going to kick off flat-footed, but probably the easiest way to get going and get some momentum again is kick off flat-footed, and then throw two dolphin kicks in there with your fins, and then start your stroke with scissor kicks, flutter kicks. On aerobic base building, what kind of running mileage would you cap someone at, providing they're lifting, rucking, swimming, etc.? I'm currently at 45 miles a week. Some coaches advise 60 per week for both SF and Buds. Shouldn't all the current cross training I'm doing also develop my aerobic base? Absolutely. If you're rucking, swimming, and running, that's plenty of cardio. Right? I don't think you need 60 miles a week. I put it this way: I have never run 60 miles a week. And most of my guys never run 60 miles a week. They're somewhere between 30 and 40. Every now and then I get somebody who's like killing 4 mile timed runs at like, you know, 25, 26 minutes, and they only run 25 to 30 miles a week. I'm like, you know what? That's good enough. I mean, that's a good 4 mile timed run. You're going to be top 5% of your class if you can hit a 25, 26 4 mile timed run. So it really depends on performance. Yeah, that 60 miles a week, if you did 45 miles a week and then added a couple of long, slow distance days in there for aerobic base training, you could build up to 50, 60. But why? I don't think you need it, be honest with you. But, I tell people all the time, I have a way to train, not the only way to train. And um, people have different opinions. And the beauty of that is that I will honestly tell you that my opinion is not for everybody. You have to find what your mileage is needed. I've seen guys do 50, 60 miles a week, but guess what? They ran them all so slow that they never passed a 4 mile time run faster than 32 minutes. So they just got too good at running slow. So now that is a little bit of, you know, anecdotal evidence, but it's just a couple of people that have run too slow for too much versus actually learning how to run fast at their pace that's going to enable them to exceed the standard. So just be careful when you're running that many more miles than you need. I don't think you need anything over 40 personally, as long as those 40 miles are fast. And when I say fast, not sprinting, but good pace, 6, 7 minute mile pace. And you can make one of them a long, slow distance run if you want. That way you're doing like 25, 30, and then maybe a 8 or 10 mile run, on the weekend or something. But it's kind of up to you. Yeah, some coaches say 60 miles a week. I do not. Last question. Did you know any SWAT federal TAC guys who went the National Guard SF route? Absolutely. Several. Does having a tactical background in that career help it? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I've seen civilians go National Guard SF and they do well too. So doesn't really matter in the end, but having some tactical understanding is very helpful. What's the best way to build a fitness base for swim? I'm fine with all the other parts of the PST, but my only 2 laps before I'm gassed. Yeah, you are what I called not in swimming shape. In fact, I wrote an article especially for you called Dude, You're Not in Swimming Shape. And this is what you do. You need to get good at the 50-50, 4 to 5, 6 days a week. In fact, I'm putting it in the comment section. Louis, read that article. I'm telling you, it will take you from whatever time you're at right now, and within a month, I want you to let me know what time you're in. Then, right? I'll give you 3 to 4 weeks to do this 5 times a week. So I'm only asking for you to do this workout 15 times. That's 3 weeks. If you can do 20, even better. But do that workout in that thing 15 times and report back. Let me know how you do. Now, this also depends on your technique. Your technique can't suck. So, Louis, if you want to send me some CSS videos, I will critique it for you to make sure you're not just spinning your wheels trying to swim. Given that most of our training should be calculated plan, how often would you want to see an athlete do a gut check workout, such as a Hell Week simulation or open-ended workout led by someone else? Um, Not too often, but something on a regular basis, maybe quarterly, I think is pretty good. I try to put a couple of those in these type of workouts. You'll see workouts like the Sand Baby Devil Murph, which is a devil's mile. It's a log PT simulator. It's a Murph all rolled into one. Takes a couple hours to do. We do the Spec Ops triathlon that can be 4 mile run, 4 mile ruck, 2 mile swim. There's different variations of those distances, some longer, some shorter. But you should do those pretty regularly. We do the Spec Ops tries quarterly. We'll do the Sand Baby Devil Murph probably sometimes even once a month. We like doing that one. It's just a good little gut check. But it becomes easy, and then people are starting to race each other. How often do you ruck at buds? You used to ruck at buds none until third phase. Then after 9/11, they started rucking a little more in first phase. Now, recently, they've taken out rucking first phase and they've gone back to just keeping it in third phase. So, not much. By third phase, you're ready for anything, to be honest with you. And the rucks are tough, but they're not super challenging. I think we did a 20 miler in third phase. I'm not sure if they still do that or not, but it literally is not that big a deal. You just put on a backpack and you do land nav courses, do some patrolling, do some ruck marches. Yeah. But you should where we use it is we ruck in soft sand just to prepare them for running in soft sand with extra weight like logs and boats. So I personally like to use it as a way to strengthen the legs in soft sand. From what you heard about guys who went Army SF or Air Force Spec War selection, what tends to be the stuff people struggle at with ANS? You know what? That's a good question. I would say most likely the water confidence seems to be the biggest killer for most people, because I will tell you their water tests are tough. I don't know if you've ever tried to do a buddy breathing with a snorkel while you're treading next to a guy and somebody else is like kicking you and dunking you and splashing you, putting water in your snorkel all at the same time. It's not an easy one. Of course, you got drown proofing, you got over unders, you got a lot of swimming drills, swimming in clothes. All of that is really tough. So I would say if you're going Air Force Special Warfare, you need to be just as much prepared for the water challenges as the Navy Special Warfare guys, maybe even more, because they get really tough. What is average PST scores of people who complete 6-week intermediate phase of your calisthenics and cardio book? That's not something I really keep track of, but I have had people who couldn't finish the PST finish the intermediate, and were now passing and completing it. Still not great. And then they finished the advanced one and were crushing it. In fact, I wrote an article and put somebody's um what do you call it? In fact, I'll put this article in there. See if oh man, where did it go? I had an article that I wrote and it had somebody's PST scores from that. See if I can find it. But I really liked their um, testimonial, because I never even thought of using it for the PST the way he did. And he came out with oh, here it is. All right. So, in fact, I liked it so much. I made it a thing here. So let's see this. So you guys see this? Share screen. Windows. Boom. Here we go. So Did your cows and cardio workout, started in the spring, just finished, added a few more 50-50 workouts. That 50-50 workouts in there a lot. Um, first February 1st was a 10-10, 65, 70, 12. So he had pretty good scores. I've heard of other guys not having this good a score. And then at the end, he had 805, 91, 95, 22. So really good improvement there. Yeah, pretty much a 2-minute drop on his swim and almost a 2-minute drop on his run. And then doubled his pull ups almost, added 25, 30 on his push ups and sit ups. So that thing works. You just got to do it. All right, you guys are doing really well with these questions. I appreciate it. Make sure you punch that like button while you're over there waiting for me to answer them. I'm about to show you some CSS videos here in a second, too. Morning, Stu. How often would you recommend switching sides during swims? I'm switching every lap, but I'm faster on my right side, so thinking doing 100. There's really no need to switch for a 500-yard swim, in my opinion. If I want to swim my fastest, I stay on my strong side the whole time. Just do. I'm done in under 8 minutes. Big deal. Like if you're swimming over an hour, you definitely want to switch sides because that's when it becomes exhausting on one side. You need to change your kick. Otherwise, your legs feel funny when you're done. Um, you want to try to balance out the kick and the pull just so you're not unilaterally challenging just one side of your body. You want to mix it up. But for a 500, not that big a deal. You know, really isn't. Which one of your programs would you recommend for getting through buds? I followed your PST one and able to get a contract. Well, good. You did what phase one is supposed to do. The next one is phase two, three, and then four. That'll get you there. For Air Force, it's recommended freestyle. Can we send you videos for that critique as well? Yeah, I mean, I'm not the best freestyle coach, but we can definitely look at it and I can see things that are common issues for people who are new to that stroke, whether it's an improper freestyle catch, um, body position, popping your head up, things like that. But yeah, you can send them. Most people send them to me using DMs on Instagram, but also people email me, stu@stusmith.com. In fact, let's do this videos, shall we? Let's see what we got here. Share screen, window, boom. All right, so let's start over here. Kicking off, a little slow for a for a 50, top arm, bottom arm, kick, hold the glide. So this is actually pretty good. He's got top arm, bottom arm, kick, one Mississippi, two Mississippi, pull. I think his kick's just a little weak because if you notice after the kick, he doesn't really go that far or fast. But his head's not popping down. He's got good body position. Now that's a really slow turnaround. We'll be a little faster on that. That probably shuts you down a little bit. Oh, here's something that's going wrong here. This is why it's so slow. Now look at this kick. Now you probably can't see it that well because a little bit of thing, but his top leg is going backwards now. So what he's doing is he is doing the same kick as he was doing on the other side. See if you notice it. All right. So this one. So he is top leg going forward, bottom leg going backwards. And he comes back and he thinks he's switching sides, but he's doing the same kick. Yeah, he switched sides all right, but he's doing the same kick. So I call this he's doing a weak side kick, or sorry, a strong side kick on his weak side. So the rule is if you really want to get good at both sides is you need to mirror image that side. So that means your top leg goes forward no matter what side you are on. So you can see here, top leg's going forward, bottom leg going backwards, and then here, top leg going backwards, bottom leg going forwards. So that's a very common mistake that I don't recommend making because typically that kick is not as effective when you do it that way. And why even switch sides if you're not going to change kicks? That's the reason you're switching sides anyway, right? But as we answered that question earlier, it's only a 500-yard swim, so why are we worried about switching sides? So I would say let's work on that kick to make it a little bit more powerful. That top leg doesn't need to be so big. It'll be more of a whip kick from the knee down. That back leg looks pretty good. Looks like you're getting a decent one there. Like, see that double arm pull? Let's take out the double arm pull too, because if you notice what happened there is you just like broach the surface there with your butt and back, and you just stop right there. Boom. Not even moving anymore. And then you don't really get going because that strong side kick on your weak side is not really effective. It's not even effective on your strong side. So I think your kick is definitely the problem that's slowing you down. Because this is over a minute long, and it should be around 50 seconds if you want to be competitive. Whew. Okay. Heading to SOAS next summer. Currently drinking a lot of protein shakes. What's the food situation like when you're out there? It's a mix. I mean, you're going to have some MREs, but you're also going to have some chow hall food too. So, I mean, if you're trying to gain weight, I guess that's good. Protein shakes, but eat good food. I get knee pain when I run. Any recommendations for knee pain? That's a tough one. Tough generalization question for me. Um, my recommendation is if it hurts to run, stop running. If it hurts to walk, don't run. If it hurts just standing around doing nothing, go to a doctor. You know, do some more non-impact cardio for a little while. Stretch, do some um, leg strengthening exercises, squats, lunges, leg extensions. Depends on where it hurts too. Is it hurting on the side, on the top, patella tendon, IT band? Does it hurt to walk downstairs? There's a whole bunch of different knee issues that can be developed from running. Typically, they start from running too much too soon. So, remember we talked about progressing earlier? That's why it's important. All right, let's see another CSS here. All right, so we have, I think it's here in our pool. Let's see what we got here. Kick off the wall, double arm pull, use the scissor kick for the double arm pull. Not bad on the transition, but that's a long way to kick off the wall. In fact, let's look at this. Kicks off the wall. He's holding his breath, still holding his breath, and I count 8 seconds before he comes up for a breath. Now, how long do you think he can last doing that 8 second breath hold every length of a 500-yard swim? Chances are not all of them, but so far it's not horrible. So, top arm, bottom arm, kick, pull the glide. And he does this pretty quickly. I mean, this is a 48-second 50. So I'm not arguing with the results. I just think probably what's going to happen here later in the swim, excuse me, later in the swim is that he's going to take out that breaststroke pullout because he can't sustain it, and probably going to wind up getting a little slower because he's really winded and needs to get in shape for that back half of the 500. So he has a really good 50. He's a great candidate right now to do that 50-50 workout, maybe even advance it to the 100-100 level. And um, and just get in shape to handle that 500-yard swim, and hopefully be able to learn how to maintain a 48-second 50 for 10 50s, which should give you an 8-minute swim flat, nice and easy. So, not bad, not bad at all. In fact, I would classify that as really good, just some minor things that I would consider changing, because of the, issue with, um, that long pullout. Doesn't need to be that long. Alright, so if it is IT band pain, I've had a lot of relief from crossover toe touch stretching, TFL, glute medius massage before and after every run. Also, cool down with rehab exercises. Absolutely. If you have any type of knee pain, and in fact, if you want to avoid any type of knee pain, warm up, do some dynamic stretching, crossover toe touches, all those like Tristan's saying, and then cool down with some standard rehab exercises, band work, maybe even some static stretching too. That's going to help you after every run. In fact, I've even gotten through some IT band flare ups because I could do this. I would do this before and then I would do it after. I'd add in some foam rolling, even. I know they say you can't foam roll the IT band, but tell you what, man, it feels good. Might not be making it more flexible, might not be actually doing anything, but if it feels better and it doesn't hurt, I'm all for it. I don't care if somebody says there's a study that says it's not making you more flexible or it's not preventing injury, but you know what? It's making me feel good right now. I'm all about that. I got a quick question about the age for enlisting with an SO contract. If you're 17, when is the earliest you can head off to boot camp? Just curious, future info. First of all, I don't recommend being 17 and heading off to boot camp. First of all, you have to graduate high school. And if you're under 18, you have to get your parents to sign off on you joining the Navy at 17. So that's two little things you have to do. But here's the deal, most 17, 18-year olders are the majority of the attrition when it comes to buds, mainly because they are just woefully ill prepared for the physical, mental, and emotional challenges that are about to occur at buds. And you show up there, and everybody in the class is like, well, not everybody, but a good group of the class that are leading the class that you see them winning things are 22, 23, post college D1 athletes. And you talk about some imposter syndrome feeling. If all you've done is just finished high school and might have played high school sports, you realize you're a boy hanging out with a bunch of men. So I don't recommend teenagers to go. But I will tell you this, we have a couple of teenagers in the last year that have made it through. We got some that are going soon that are just beasts, and I wouldn't recommend them normally, but they are so squared away maturity wise, physically, like they're finished growing, right? So that's another thing. A lot of 17-year-olds aren't even finished growing yet. Um, so they haven't even grown into their bodies, and they're susceptible to a lot of injuries when that happens. So I don't mean to rain on your parade, but you have from 17 to 29 to go to buds, and there's even age waivers after 29. So don't look at it as like, if I don't go as a teenager, I'm going to be way too old. Go later. Get a couple of years of training under your belt. Be crushing things, like be strong, be fast, be durable, finish growing. Maybe live away from your house for a few years before you even join the military, because I tell you what, leaving home, staying somewhere with a whole bunch of dudes you don't know with everybody yelling at you for your first time leaving home is not easy. It's doable. It's just not easy. It takes a beating on you. You know, your girlfriend's at home and she leaves you, you know, that's a little heartbreaking. Then you move to another city and everybody's yelling at you again, expecting you to perform at the highest level of, performance that you've ever had done in your life, right? And you're around a bunch of dudes that make you look like a little middle school kid. So there's a lot of reasons why I say if you're a teenager, don't even go. But I have given waivers to that mentality as well. But they proved it to me that they were one solid. I mean, there's one dude that was 18 years old, had a mustache and beard, and like 6'2", 210. I was like, dude, no way you're 18. I mean, he was a full grown man at 18. Other guys are wrestlers and swimmers and did both of them. Just unicorns, toughness and ability to run, swim, do all the reps, and strong as hell. So if that's you, you might have a chance. Hello, Stu. Do you recommend Cows and Cardio book for skinny guys too? Or is it more people with body fat percentage? No, I've seen a lot of skinny guys start off with this. In fact, my son, who in 8th grade was 6'3", 140 pounds, we started off with calisthenics and eating, right? It was literally calisthenics and eating because he was a hard gainer. He had to, if you want to be big, you have to eat big. That has to be the other side of the equation, especially if you're adding cardio into it. You got to eat even more because that's just going to burn calories for you and not necessarily help you grow. But calisthenics is a good base for muscle growth. And if you think about it, they're basically hypertrophy exercises, these little calisthenics exercises. You will put on muscle with calisthenics. But, after a cycle or two of that, you may want to start lifting. And that's what we did. We started lifting with dumbbells and barbells and, kettlebells. And next thing you know, we're doing body weight lifts. After, a few years of that, we're doing over body weight lifts. And by the time he's a senior, he's almost 200 pounds, same height as he was in 8th grade, but he put on 60 pounds. Now he's in college and just crushing the weights. But I've seen that for a lot more people than just my son. Do you count calories or carbs or anything, or just choose healthy foods and eat until you're full? Well, that's the beauty of eating to gain weight. Yeah, it does matter. You want to eat good food. Um, and to be honest with you, you probably want to go higher carbs um, than you think, just because if you're a hard gainer, you're probably going to see a better weight gain process with eating carbs. And that means good carbs, fruits, vegetables, but you can also get away with milk, ice cream, milkshakes, and then add some protein powders and things like that. You need everything. As far as percentages of each, it's kind of up to you. I have found that peanut butter is a really good one for high calorie. It's very dense calories. Um, take a couple of spoonfuls of that a day. Next thing you know, you've added 500 calories to your day. Top that off with normal eating, and you're going to be in a caloric surplus. At the end of the week, you might gain a pound. That's what your goal is. So my advice would be to see if you're gaining weight at the end of a full week. If you haven't, add another couple hundred calories a day. Could be just a scoop of peanut butter. Could be an extra peanut butter and jelly sandwich at the end of a day or a meal. All right, let's go into some more swimming videos. So what do we got here? Got to kick off the wall. Looks pretty good. pull, breaststroke, top arm, bottom arm, kick, little pop up there. I don't like the pop up to breathe. If you can see what he's doing there, like I like to have. All right, so the reason why he's popping up is if you notice, I like to have my face out of the water here. And you need to keep these legs closer together. They're not ready to kick yet. Um, but the reason why he's popping up is he uses that bottom arm and he pushes straight down, and that pops him straight up. Top arm, bottom arm, kick. Got a little double kick there. That's the reason why your legs are apart. Keep your feet together. Yeah, I like to turn my head with my top arm so it's out of the water by the time I am pulling that bottom arm. Right now, what you're doing is you're still underwater with that top arm right here. So top arm, look at that. You're still underwater. My face would be out of the water right here, right? And I start inhaling right here. But you have to pop up and inhale at the same time. Which really, if you notice what that does to your vertical speed, look what it's doing to your vertical speed. You're going pretty good until you have to pop up to breathe, and you just go vertical and you stop moving horizontal. Your horizontal speed. Sorry, you got a pretty good glide. And I think you tend to glide a little too much in the one arm position, which is kind of like the elementary side stroke. So if you notice, you got a top arm glide, you got a bottom arm glide for a few seconds, and it's not very streamlined either. Notice where it is. You're basically swimming like a banana. You want to be heading to the right. That's why you're about to hit the lane line there, and you have to readjust. So you need to have that shoulder mobility so you can put that shoulder bicep behind your ear versus it being out here. That looks a little better. Did you change sides or something on that? No, same side. Just looks different from this side. You could hold the glide a little longer. One Mississippi, two Mississippi, one Mississippi, two Mississippi. Pull. A little better. Yeah, I think the pop up's what's screwing you up. You got a good kick, you got a good arm pull, got a good glide. I think the pop up to breathe is just interfering with your continuation of horizontal momentum. It just shuts down your momentum too much. Stu, do you think it's a good idea to get a hard labor job and train? It's up to you. I mean, I've seen guys do bussing tables, um, construction. That's a hard labor job. So yes, but I think put it this way. Here's what's better than not having a job, right? Or school is you go do a hard workout in the morning, go take a nap for a couple hours, eat lunch, go do another hard workout in the afternoon, come back, chill out for a little bit, and then you're done for the day. The problem with that is you just don't get naps, at buds. So yes, they're great for recovery. And if you're new to this type of training, it might be good for the short term. But my advice would be to get used to working all day at something. It doesn't have to be hard manual labor, but I think it would be preferred, at least on your feet most of the day. 'Cause that's how time is going to be spent in between evolutions where you're having to put out at bud. You'll be running around, grabbing boats, getting them pumped up, uh, getting ready for the next evolution. You're just moving. You're taking care of equipment, things like that. So you're always moving fast from A to B, um, and you're not resting. Put it that way. You're not just sitting around doing nothing. Unless you're 5 minutes early, you get to sit down for a few minutes and then you know chill out and then get ready to go crush something. How am I able to balance a hard labor job and training? Well, from what I have seen people do and experienced myself, is you just squeeze it in when you can. So what we do, what I've seen is people would work out first thing in the morning with their main workout. Then they work the rest of the day. If they get a time off for lunch, whether that's school or work lunch, sometimes guys go for a run during lunch, or if they're near a pool, they'll go for a swim during lunch. 30-minute lunch, 30-minute swim, and then get back to work. Um, then after work, game's on. Do whatever you want. Some guys have to study if it's school. Some guys work, then study. You know, it is a lesson in time management, and you got to squeeze it in. So, do I have a favorite snack or fuel source for long runs? Yeah, I got two things that I put in my backpack for long runs. A couple pieces of fruit that are real easy to eat, like bananas and apples. Usually put those at the top of my ruck so I can just grab them. Water constantly with a little bit of electrolytes. If I'm sweating profusely, I will definitely add electrolytes to that. Um, and then let's say I'm starting to cramp and I'm feeling horrible because I just didn't have enough electrolytes or I didn't have any electrolytes whatsoever. Ran out of banana an hour and a half ago and I'm starting to bonk, starting to get some cramps. My emergency go to is literally a can of chicken noodle soup from Campbell's. And if you look on the back, loaded with sodium, it's got potassium in it, about as much as two bananas, and it's got protein, carbs, everything you need. I just drink it. Can of chicken noodle soup right out of the can, and I can't tell you how much that has saved me and others. I've seen guys just like talking gibberish near heat casualty uh, level issues with electrolytes and cramping, like full body cramps, like bent over like this. Eat a can of chicken noodle soup, drink all the juice in it, and uh, within 5-10 minutes, they're back to where they are. Now, if it was really hot that day and they were borderline heat casualty, I wouldn't put them back out there, but they're at least not cramping anymore. And if it's something that they could do and still move and not be get into that overheated realm where they were pushing before, they'll keep doing it. But those are my big ones: water, banana, apple, sometimes little tangerines, those little halo tangerines. I love those. But yeah, fruit and a can of chicken noodle soup are my go-tos. Now, if it's a really long one, I'll make sure I got some nuts in there just for fat calories, just because there's a lot of calories and fat. Sometimes I'll put honey and peanut butter packets in my pockets just for a little bit of sugar and high calorie foods that I know I like. So there you go. That's a bunch to kind of work with. My advice is find things that work well for you um, as far as your digestive system, because that's going to be the biggest challenge, is how well you um, are able to um, digest whatever food is your issue that you're eating, because the last thing you want is it to be an issue and you are throwing up, got diarrhea, whatever, so. Oh, let's see what Blade says. Look, you just blew up the questions there. 19, background in soccer. I took a year off of exercise, but now 2 months back into working out. I can crush everything except for the swim. Is it realistic to get 9-minute CSS for someone who's never really swum before? Yeah. I get guys in 8 minutes who've never swum before. Uh, 20 pull ups, 80 push ups. Um, I'm assuming 80 sit ups, 930 mile and a half, swims around 10, 11. Yeah, you're a perfect candidate for the 50-50 workout. Yeah. Do the 50-50 workout. And I've seen guys go from 10 to 8 minutes in 3 weeks, mostly four, but a few have made it in three. But I also cleaned up their stroke to make sure they were swimming it correctly. So if you're just wasting your kicks and your pulls and you're just overworking in the pool, you're not really going to see the results. So we got to work on your technique and then work on your conditioning. But yeah. All right, I got one more video. Let me show you this one. Then I think I got to go. Damn, I've been at this an hour already. Where'd the time go? Kick off the wall. That's a good kick off the wall right there. Little breaststroke pull out. I like it. No loss of momentum. Boom. Yeah, this is good. Top arm, bottom arm, kick. Uh, this is a little, not too bad. Seems a little slow though. Let me see where we are here on the time. 34 seconds, but he took a little bit of time here. 34 and yeah, you're like 30 seconds each link. Trying to figure out why that is. Let's see what's going on this side. Top arm. All those little flutter kicks can go. Top arm, bottom arm, kick. That's good. I like to see how his top arm, when his head turns with that top arm. I think that bottom arm is a really big bottom arm stroke. Doesn't really need to be that big, but it's not what's slowing you down. It might be the issue of, like, I noticed when you kicked off the wall, you had a pretty decent breaststroke kick and a little dolphin kick in there. There's a breaststroke kick again. You might have a tendency of doing breaststroke kick, and it looks like you try to do a scissor kick and it turns into a breaststroke kick. So I would say your kick is the issue. You got a good arm pull, got a good streamline glide. That was a slow turnaround though. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, I can't really tell your kick there. Something's wrong with your kick because you notice after you kick, you don't really go very far on the glide there. Now the good news is you got all the timing down, the pull, the breathe, the kick, the one Mississippi, two Mississippi, pull, all that looked good. But I think your kick could use some adjusting. So there's an article I wrote called "Fix Your Kick," and it's got a little kickboard drill in it. I'm going to put it into the comment section. So if you think your kick is a little weak, try this workout. Something I've been doing with this one is I've been adding it to a 50-50. So the way you do that is you do a kickboard for 25, and then you do a 50-50, and then you pick up the kickboard at the beginning of every 50-50. So that means kickboard for 25, and then you do a 100-yard swim, right? You grab it again, grab the kickboard for 25, 100 yards. 10 sets of 50-50. So it comes out to 1250 if you do that. Is cows and cardio swimming every day? I'm not sure what your. Oh, yeah, it's at least 6 days a week. Let me see. Swim, 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 swim. Oop, there's one day without swimming out of six. Let's see what we got here. Swim, swim, swim. Yeah, some days have 6 days a week of swimming, some days five. So yes, lots of swimming in cows and cardio. I think that's why it was very helpful um, for some people to really crush the PST because of all the swimming, running, and pull up, push up, sit ups in it. What does mental toughness phase 4 book look like? I don't have a copy of it here, but it is really tough for the first 4 weeks. It's basically um, how I would prepare people for the pre Hell Week parts of buds. So that means you're going to look in there and you're going to see some crazy workouts. You're always getting dropped for push-ups. Um, you're wet and sandy, and then you do a lot of flutter kicks. Um, then there's a Hell Week simulator in there that's like 3 workouts a day for 5 days in a row, and it is pretty much a simulator of all the horrible events that go on at Hell Week, from you know running log PT simulators with sandbags, lots of bear crawls. If you got a buddy, you can do fireman carries, rucking and soft sand to kind of simulate running with boats. All of that stuff. So if you don't have soft sand, you can do it on hills, or you can do it on a stair stepper. Um, Obviously, you can't do that wet and sandy, but it's just a simulation for some of the events that you're going to see. All right, folks. I think that is it for me. I have to bail, but I appreciate your time for sticking around. Hit that like button if you will. This thing runs on likes. But I'm also over at stewsmithfitness.com. Check out those articles. There's a ton of stuff over there. I put links into all the stuff I talked about earlier, either in the comment section or in the description of this video. Check those out. Um, but yeah, you can do a search feature in that, and you'll find a bunch of articles. All right, I've been writing articles for a long time, so have well over 1,200 out there. So do a search, put my name in it, and you might find an answer that I've written about that topic. Um, Also, if I missed your question, just send it to me, stu@stewsmith.com. Happy to answer it. But yeah, check out stewsmithfitness.com for books, ebooks, programming, things like that, articles. And since sticking around this long, I appreciate it. You guys can use the Live15 coupon code and save 15% on books and ebooks. All right, folks, I appreciate your time. You guys have a good one. I'll see you next week.